Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I'm your host, Commander Claw, and today I'm bringing you Golbez Crystal Collector. I think it's a very interesting low CMC commander. It reminds me of Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow. If you know that commander, that is a very popular commander, probably in the top 10 for a very long time. So it gives me that vibe, but with artifact synergy. So I think this is playable. I think it's a very uncommon commander, and I think it actually can do a lot of damage, and your opponents will underestimate how powerful it can be. So, without further ado, let's talk about him. A dimir colored commander. For blue and a black, we got a 1/4 body. Legendary human wizard. Whenever an artifact you control enters, surveil 1. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more artifacts, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts, each opponent loses life equal to that card's power. So first of all, it allows you to put artifacts into your graveyard, right? It's going to fuel your graveyard, and it's easy in dimir colors to populate your graveyard with artifacts. You can discard artifacts from your hand into the graveyard using cycling abilities, or just discard effects from looting or surveilling, right? And when you get to your end step, when you have 4 or more artifacts, right, in your graveyard, you return a creature card from your hand, from your graveyard to your hand. So this can be an artifact creature, this can be an enchantment creature, this could just be a regular creature. You got options. But it's even more beneficial when you got 8 plus more artifacts, and you're going to drain life from your opponent's life total equal to that card's power, that creature card's power. So, of course, we got to give you the bangers, the heavy hitters, creature cards that have high power. And we are going to stay on track with a bunch of artifact creatures, okay? So it counts towards our artifact count in our graveyard. So let's talk about these guys. First, I wanted to show you a card that does not work and it's super popular. It is Blightsteel Colossus and even Darksteel Colossus. Let me read the card and tell you why. For 12 mana, Blightsteel Colossus is an 11/11 artifact creature golem, trample, infect, indestructible. Ideally, that would be great. If he was in your graveyard, you could reanimate him and drain 11 life from each of your opponents. However, he says if Blightsteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, you pretty much put him back into your library and shuffle it. So he wouldn't work with this deck unless you just have him in your hand and you hard cast him and you just attack. Yes. But let me show you a artifact creature that does work. Metalwork Colossus for 11 mana, 10/10 artifact creature construct. The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of non-creature artifacts you control. Sacrifice 2 artifacts. Return Metalwork Colossus from your graveyard to the battlefield. So cool. What I really like about this card is his second ability. You can sacrifice 2 artifacts to return them from your graveyard to your hand. Well, that is good because you get to put artifacts into your graveyard, and maybe you need to do that earlier to hit the 4 mark or even the 8 mark of artifacts in your graveyard. So it just automatically allows you to sack it and fuel it. That's what I like about him the most. Second, of course, he costs X less because of the non-creature artifacts you have on the battlefield. Your mana rocks and anything else, maybe artifact equipments. Next up, we got Draco for 16 mana, 9/9 artifact creature dragon. Draco costs 2 less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control. You're going to have blue-black, so that's only -4. He would cost 12 mana to cast. He's a flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Draco unless you pay 10 mana. This cost is reduced by 2 for each basic land among lands you control. Cool. Honestly, he would be in your deck just to drain opponent's life for 9 mana and just use cards to discard them back into your graveyard again. So that's a guaranteed 9 life points drained from opponents if you meet the 8 artifact graveyard requirement. So I had to start thinking of ways for players to do even more damage, right? This is one of my favorite dimir legendary creatures just to have in a deck most of the time, and its ability just does work. Let me introduce you to Araumi of the Dead Tide. For 1 blue black, 1/4 body, legendary merfolk wizard. He says tap, exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. Target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. The Encore cost is equal to its mana cost. Exile this creature card and pay its mana cost. For each opponent, create a token copy that's attacking that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. This is a really good card to make multiple copies of a powerful creature that you want to go to combat with, right? That's sitting in your graveyard. You pay its encore cost, exile cards from your graveyard to throw out maybe a 6/6 that has all these abilities and it has, all these effects and it attacks your opponents. The legendary rule does apply, so all those legendary creatures that you probably want to reactivate, you should have some kind of death trigger with it. So you get that death trigger when the legendary rule applies to multiple copies of the legendary creature. Yes. Really good card, Araumi of the Dead Tide. You can get creative. So yeah, we got cards leaving our graveyard. Okay, Imotekh the Stormlord for 2/2 black 3/3 body legendary artifact creature Necron. He has the ability Pharaon. Whenever one or more artifact cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2 black Necron warrior artifact creature tokens. Yes. So, I just showed you an ability with Encore, right? Where you're exiling cards from your graveyard. That is a leave the battlefield triggered ability. So that's a good way to just create an army and go wide at the same time, building up blockers. Next up, Imotekh has the ability Grand Strategist. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target artifact creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains menace until end of turn. This is actually, in general, Imotekh is a powerful commander, giving an attacking artifact creature +2/+2 and menace, allowing it to be evasive, and you're going wide at the same time. Like, come on, man. For 4 mana, it does a lot of work. Let me show you another card. Taval's Judgment for 2 and a black is an enchantment. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. First one, draw a card. Second one, create a treasure token. Third one, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. This is just a value generator. Value, 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 value. What cards in blue and black it doesn't leave your graveyard? It happens often. Moving on. Now, this is actually one of my favorite cards out of all my decks. Is in my Megatron deck. It's a really good creature removal and discard outlet. Let me introduce you to Armix Filigree Thrasher for 2 and a black 3/2 body legendary artifact creature Golem. It says whenever Armix attacks, you may discard a card. When you do, target creature defending player controls gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control plus the number of artifact cards in your graveyard. Great synergy in here because guess what? You're putting cards in your artifacts in your graveyard anyways. Anyways, you want 4 or 8 in your graveyard anyways. Then there's the discard outlet. So those artifact cards in your hand, you get to put them in your graveyard. But it also gets -X boosted up because artifacts you control. So if you have a bunch of artifacts in play, you're just removing a creature off an attack trigger. Awesome card. Next up, we got their number is Legion for X and 4 black. It's a sorcery. Create X tap 2/2 black Necron warrior artifact creature tokens. Then you gain life equal to the number of artifacts you control. Exile their number is Legion. You may cast their number is Legion from your graveyard. I like to look at this as a Hail Mary or maybe a perfect timing when maybe a board wipe has happened and you really have nothing going on. But you can cast this card from your graveyard and build an army. But remember, these Necron Warriors are artifact creature tokens, so they count towards some type of artifact synergy. Just think about that, the card I just showed you with Armix. Yeah. So I think Golbez is an awesome commander. I do like the low CMC commanders that allows you to play the game. Like it's cool casting your commander. You know that. It's cool casting your commander. And these I don't look so powerful commanders, so you don't get targeted from the beginning of the game. or before you even start the game, your opponents make that face like, ugh, you're playing with that? Yeah, you get to bypass all that. Golbez is in your command zone, possibly turn 2, you cast them, you surveil 1, and you just put one little artifact card in your graveyard. And that's how it starts. Then turn 3 happens, turn 4 happens. Maybe you got 4 artifact cards in your graveyard. And guess what? By turn 5, you got to do what he gets to do most. You get to play the game. And you wasn't a target from the beginning. I think he's an awesome commander, really do. Probably going to put in another video for uncommon commanders from the Final Fantasy set. So stay tuned for that video coming up shortly.